Okay, so hopefully we're all waking up now. Can you hear the music? Okay, we're coming alive. It's after lunch. It's that time where we all start to relax, and it's time to pep up, because I have the most exciting talk for you. Right? CP, are you kidding? You've all been waiting for this. Okay, so the first thing I just want to start to have a conversation about is, why do we have a CP course? You know, we all should know, why do we have a CP? And maybe we don't know, so that could be an initial question too. So the first thing, I'm going to come out and walk a little bit, because that's what I do as I talk. And I'm going to also call on some of my colleagues here to answer some of the questions. So don't worry, students, I won't call on you unless you specifically want me to. Okay? If your hand's sitting there going like this, I will definitely call on you. And stop me at any time if you have questions. Otherwise, at the end, I will also take questions from all of you as well. So the first part is, you know, we have a CP. We have a culminating project. And this is a piece of work and art for you all. It's something that, when you are done, to be proud of. Not only of the degree that you're receiving, but also of this working document. That's something that you can bring to those employers, something that you can speak about at your clinics, at your health systems, even at the state legislative level. Something you can bring forward and have a piece to say, this is what my applied learning does and has done for me, and this is what I can do for you, and this is how we can move this toward the future. So that's really important. We want you to really believe in the work that you're doing, the efforts, and we want it to be something that is applicable. Okay, we have both clinical and management. So when we look at management, we want to look at a culminating project that's management focused and related. When we look at clinical, we're looking at your interventions. What are you doing on the ground? What is that work going to look like? Okay? So a couple things that people have already mentioned. Thank you to Dr. O'Donnell and Dr. Cortez earlier. We're talking about different types of intervention measurement tools, different types of strategies and things that you can do. And that's what we really want you to start to think about and consider when you're focusing on CP and looking toward the future. I'm going to talk a little bit more about CP in a little bit here. Okay? So one of my first things that I often get will be questions about, well, a CP, it's 3 credits, but I have to take it 3 times. Is that 2 times here, 1 over here? What happens? So basically, it is a 3-credit course. Okay? You're going to register it in a sequence, and Dr. Mackey talked a little bit earlier about when are you going to register for it. You're going to register for it when first semester, when you're applying for your internship. Thank you. And Dr. Mackey, what is that called when you submit that form in? There's a certain name.
Registering your intent.
Registering your intent. Thank you. So when you're registering your intent for your internship, that's when you want to consider your first credit, your initial credit of CP. Okay? And as Dr. Mackey talked about before, why do we want to do that? Because you're going to have direct contact with your site. You're going to be able to go there. You're going to want to talk about what your interests are and then what you can do for them. What is the site's interests? What are their needs? Okay? What can you two bring to the table together? What is it going to look like? So you want to be able to talk with them. That's why it's imperative to have that knowledge and that resource when you're starting your first credit of CP. Your second credit of CP, okay, which will be in the next semester, okay. That's ultimately what most people do, is pair them up. The next following semester, they're going to take another credit of CP, okay, or IBC 793. This is when you're going to be really finalizing more of your hypothesis. In the first credit, we're actually going to talk a little bit about the assignments later. You would have already met with this internship site. You've gotten your ideas, a hypothesis. You even looked at the literature. Now we're going to finalize it more. Now we're working on the ground. We're developing even further. We're developing a full proposal at this point. And you're actually working in your internship. You're there on the ground at that placement. Okay? So the second semester of culminating project is when you're actually in your internship. Okay? Now I just want to remind people, for people that are working at the site that they're also already interning at, I really encourage them to look at it as separate work. This project is something else, something outside of what you normally are doing, okay? Other effort you're putting in. Your third credit of IBC 793. Oftentimes, people will do it consecutively, the next following semester, okay? What we do recommend is considering doing it the semester after. So taking a break to finish up collecting your data with internship, finishing off the internship, and then you're taking the third credit and the last final credit of CP after that. So you have your time to analyze your data, finish right up, and do the defense. Then, you know, that little thing. Nobody worries about that one, right? Not at all. So then you would do the defense there. Okay? Do we have any questions about how this plays out? I know Dr. Mackey went over this earlier as well. No. Okay. We need more music? Yeah. Dance party next? Okay. We're hearing it. So I just want to let you know how we all see you. Okay? And when it comes to the culminating project, okay, this is kind of how we see you. I'm just letting you know. Okay? This is what it is. And what most often I hear from students is this is what at least their thought process is, of what we think that is happening for them. Okay? A lot of pressure, a lot of focus. Okay? We know that you're an individual. We know that there's a lot going on, not only in your life as a person, but also professionally. Okay? But we do want to meet with you and work on it and move you through this process. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how you're going to be able to move through the process. So the first part of that is, well, what's the expectation? Oh, yeah. I'm just going to listen to that for a second, right? You know what era I'm from, right? This is like one of the first MTV videos, right? I was too young to watch it. Okay, so we've got the culminating assignment. So what happens? Okay, so when we look at cohorts and we use that term, we're talking about that's the first credit of IBC 793. Okay? Cohort 1 means IBC 793 first credit. Okay? Just so you know. Cohort 2, second credit. Cohort 3, third credit. Okay? You'd be surprised how many times I have to say that. Okay. So just as knowledge. So for some of you, for actually many of you in here, you've gone through the culminating project. You may have already completed it. You never had these assignments. You may never have even had a class or that had more direction related to it. So this is kind of new. The culminating project has really been a development over time throughout the entire program. Okay? And this design of the culminating project is really a response to students and their requests. Okay? So it's developed exactly from what you all have asked us to do. What are your needs? You brought them forward, and then we've answered them for you. Okay? So in the first cohort, which means more assignments, right? Isn't it funny how we can switch that magically? So the first cohort, your assignments are, first is just creating a timeline. And originally we had students do any timeline that they wanted and create it. But then we realized is that a lot of students were missing really key pieces. So what we did is we created a formalized culminating project timeline. So now there's one form that every student completes. You only need to complete the subsection that is yours. And this is a working form that you will utilize throughout each of the semesters, each of the terms. So the next term, you have that same form. You just do the second section. Okay? It's very easy. Okay? So the first part is you're going to do that timeline. The next part, you've got your CITI training, okay, which is related to IRB. Okay? The third part, you've got a UCU elevator pitch, brand new. A lot of students are coming up to me saying, wow, I've never used UCU before. Okay? Good and bad. Anybody in here have used UCU and were a little intimidated by it? It's okay. Okay. Good. I am. So it is important. Half the time I'm on camera, I'm like, oh my goodness, I think I need like a makeup artist, hair person, and dress, a change of outfit or something. UCU, it's a video system. It's going to record your responses. And the reason why we're asking you to do a UCU video is because we want to see your presentation style. We want to know how you can stand up in front of people and be on the clock and make a delivery. Okay? How are you going to present yourself? How are you going to deliver? What does that look like? Do you have the skills? Do you need more assistance there? What can we do? This is a way for us to be able to see that and help you. Okay? So I do encourage people to consider writing out a script. Okay? And if you find yourself when you're in the UCU videos fumbling or having any difficulty, reach out. Let us know. Let's work on it together. Okay? Because ultimately, it's going to be part of how you're going to present yourself as a DBH. Hypothesis and data analysis plan. This is the first stage of this. This is a working draft, as I like to call it, because we know who in here has had a hypothesis and then could be months later, but we'll just say even days or weeks, has changed it. Anybody? Okay? Yeah. a lot. About 25% of people in here, right? So it's big. It happens. So it's a working draft. It's a working draft in progress. So we've laid out a way for you to be able to write out what your hypothesis looks like or your research question in format. So my first thing that I want to just point out is, Dr. Mackey, will you do us the honors and tell us your definition of hypothesis and research question? I should have music, but I don't for now.
With the microphone, please.
No.
Part of the reason that we ask this, or even address this, is oftentimes we'll look at a hypothesis and it's actually a research question, or a question is actually a hypothesis. So a research question is something that you're interested in addressing. It's a question that you have, that your research, going through the literature review as well as your data collection and analysis, is meant to answer. Okay? You want to focus that question. Because you could ask big questions, but if you really can't answer them, or if they're too big, you can't possibly answer them in the small period of time you have in your project, then it's not a good question. So that's going to be a process of honing that question down. The hypotheses are basically your best guesses at the answer to the question and the interpretation of the data you're going to get. Your best guess. Now, does this mean you sit back and you kind of just throw out a guess? No, it's informed by the literature, it's informed by your experience, and it's informed by your clinical judgment in some cases, or your management judgment that you have already. So it's an educated guess. So just keep that in mind. So when you're formulating those, have a true interest in the question you're asking, and really take a good stab at your guess, so that you formulate it in a way that you can actually measure and test out later and say, yes, I was right, or no, I wasn't. If you were right, why were you right? If you weren't right, why not? And it doesn't matter if you're not right. You've learned something, and so will the reader learn something as well.
Thank you, Dr. Mackey. So the next piece here is a discussion board. We're using the discussion board as a way for you all to communicate with each other. Now we have an actual way for you all to be able to share your working hypotheses, research questions together. You can see what the other students in your cohort are researching, what the ideas are. You can learn off of each other. You can also start to team up. Hey, you've got a project on diabetes and hypertension. I've got a project on diabetes, hypertension. What are you doing with it? Let's work together. Okay, let's talk over the phone. Let's do some team management. Okay, let's keep each other motivated. Okay, let's do dance parties. Okay, all of these things are different aspects that hopefully you're going to find helpful within this course. The next piece is the literature grid. Okay, the literature grid was developed as a way to help you to start to look at statistics and methodology and help you so when you move forward and you're actually analyzing all of your literature reviews and gathering all of your data and your journal articles and text and all of that, you can easily be able to start to group things together and say, this literature stack here, I'm going to focus on answering this types of questions. This stack here is going to be focused on this. Okay? It's going to give you a way to then develop next your literature review. Okay? So by the end of cohort 1, you would have submitted a literature review to your chair. Okay? Cohort 2. How many people do we have that's in cohort 2 right now? Anybody cohort 2? 1, maybe 2. Okay. One that will admit it? Okay. That's fine. So cohort 2, some of the similar things you'll see as far as timeline, but one of the first things is the committee member contact page. The reason why we developed this is that we found that there was lots of students out there that had committees and committee members, and the committee members didn't know who was on the committee. Not until defense, not until late stages in the game sometime. So we've developed a formalized form for you to be able to put in all the contact information of everyone that's on your committee and then distribute that to your committee. So your committee members are informed about who's on the committee, okay, and all of their contact numbers, and so you know. So you're not fishing for it later. Wait, what's Dr. Cummings' contacts? You know, I thought I had the email for so-and-so, but I can't find it. So you know exactly what it is as well. You have, of course, the same timeline form that's due. Then you're going to have the updated draft of your literature review. That starts right away in cohort 2. Okay? The horses are out of the gate. You're already running. Okay? And this is because you've probably received feedback from your chair. Okay? Perhaps detailed feedback that you want to incorporate, or perhaps during that break you found some more articles that you're wanting to implement into that literature review, or you created a new hypothesis and have to catch up.
For the summer session, that actually does run 8 weeks. Should I just assume this is all condensed?
Yes, it is. Yes. Yes, it will. So the question was, is the summer session of CP IBC 793, are all of these things going to be condensed into the summer? Yes, it will. Okay? You will be doing all of these things, just faster. Doesn't that sound fun? Join us, summer. Join us. It's going to be a blast. So next we have the final. We have a final version of approval of the literature review. We've added that in there as a way for you to also be able to move forward. I can't tell you how many times the students have reached out and have been confused of whether or not their literature review has been finalized, okay, or moved all the way to defense and then found out that they had errors way up in literature review that they needed to redo, okay? So we really want to make it so that by the time you're at the very final version of your project and you're going for defense, almost every single aspect of the project has been approved and there's not many edits for you to do. You're in that place of hopefully relaxing and calming your nerves for the presentation, okay? Not being nervous about all the different edits or problems that might come up, okay? We want you to be feeling more confident and secure. We have a hypothesis and data analysis plan form. This is what's going to help you again. It's going to be what your hypothesis, okay, or hypotheses, what your research questions may be, and it's going to lay them out in a statistical format, asking about variables, etc. This is something that Dr. Pryor will be reviewing, okay, giving you some feedback on, and I'll talk a little bit about her and her role a little bit later. Okay. We've got a message board, another way for you to be able to communicate with your cohort about what your hypotheses are, what your research questions are, and then what you're doing for your analysis. Okay. Again, another way to kind of check yourself with other students, and then also see where's everyone else in this process? What are they working on? Can I team up? What's another idea? Learning from each other. Okay? Before this, there was no way for students to be able to communicate about their CP. There was no way for you to know what's someone else working on. And one other great piece of this is that students in cohort 1, because we share the same course shell, can go in and look at the message board if you'd like, any of them. You can look at message board in cohort 3. Go, look, read them. Read some of the posts. See what people are doing. Okay? We've got the methods section, which is due in week 9, or for summer, probably week 3. Okay. We've got the methods section that you're going to be doing. We've got proposal submission, which is your final proposal submission to your chair for review. We've got IRB, and then we have proposal approved by committee members. That's really an essential piece, because that's the time where you're putting in more formal communication to your entire committee, not just your chair. This is where you've sent out your proposal, your chair says, great. Okay? They give you maybe 1 or 2 edits, and they say, get it done, and let's send it out to the committee. Let's get the feedback from all of your committee members, okay? So that they're knowledgeable. So again, they can give you that input now rather than wait for later. I've had people that have gone out to their committee, received some extra feedback, and then added in sections to their literature review, things that they didn't even consider. And they found it really valuable. Okay? It's an important piece. So now we've on to, I'm doing everything pretty brief here for everyone, brief review. Cohort 3. Again, CP timeline form. This one you're going to notice on the CP timeline for cohort 3, you're going to see great words like graduation date, ordering my graduation tickets, things that it's really nice to see. I'll put my date on that, yeah. Okay? You're going to see those things on there as well. Okay? You've got your raw data. Dr. Pryor had a brilliant idea related to raw data. She has you inputting your raw data in so she can briefly scan it and ensure that you're handling it and putting the sequencing of your data in correctly. We've been able to catch a lot of data collection errors this way. Okay? We've got business plan to your advisor, so to your chair. Okay? We've got a discussion board. The discussion board is surrounding the business plan. It's just asking some questions about, hey, how did you do your business plan? Did you use it from some of the past classes? How was that experience for you? What types of tips can you share with other students? Okay? We've got people that have posted different websites in there, things that they've learned, okay, names of friends that they learned. Okay. Analysis and results section. So if you notice as I'm going on with each of these assignments, you'll see how everything's kind of piecemealed. They all go in line with exactly how your project is laid out. But each is very different subsections. And that's something that's really important to remember. When you're looking at the CP, you're not looking at this document that's going to be, 25, 50 pages long. You're not going in and sitting down and writing that. You're going in and we're wanting you to write 5 pages. Then we're going to want you to add 2 more pages. Then I want you to add 1 page. Okay? We're piecemealing it together so that you don't get overwhelmed with a large picture. Okay? We've got the final culminating project paper, which is your final piece for submission. The discussion board related to how that process is, that you've completed it, okay, hints, things like that, and your scheduling of your defense. When did you schedule your defense? What's happening? And we've got, of course, your final approval of your project, which is an actual email that you'll receive. Now, scheduling the defense, we've got a great option for everyone in Cohort 3. You can practice your defense. How nice is that? Okay? Who in here has practiced the defense with me? Okay. Okay. It's super fun, right? Right? It was great. Good. It was fun for her. And it was fun. Yes, yes. It's probably more useful. But it's good because some of the times we're catching errors just as far as technology about making sure that your microphone's working, that we can actually see you. Okay? So half the time I'm telling people, I can't see you. I have no idea where you are. Your lighting is poor. Okay, so presenting, I couldn't hear them on their mic, a couple of students. And if they didn't practice, that was going to be their presentation in defense. A black lit picture with no mic. Probably wouldn't have gone very well. I don't know about you all, but I don't think that would have gone well. Okay? So it's a time for you to do that, to run through your slides, run through your speech. I sit down and I write out things that I feel that could be corrected or changed. And then I challenge you with different types of questions. Sometimes I will let you know certain questions that I've heard that certain individuals might bring up more so than others. So I'll say, you know what Dr. Cortez likes? Okay. So I'll give you those little hints. Okay. And so those things are a great benefit. So do that. Use that opportunity. I've also had some students that say, okay, I don't want you to do a practice defense with me. That's not what I'd like. But I would like my friend to do a practice defense with me because she's going to defend here soon. So we want to do it together. I can set up a room and have you do that together as well. Okay? So I can arrange that. We can also arrange that if you want a party and we want to throw 4 people on that practice defense, we can have you all in there together. Okay? I can be on there. A couple other colleagues can be on there. You can practice your defense. We can all ask you questions. Okay? That sounds even better, doesn't it? It does, yeah. Drink the Kool-Aid. It does. So those things are important. So that's what we want to help you with and move you through this project. Okay? Some common questions that I hear are some base ones about who's my chair, which is your advisor. Okay? You should all know who your advisor is. If you do not know who your advisor is, please reach out to me right away, and I can let you know so you can start planning related to your project. Thank you. I know, I was like, I heard the echoing too. It is on your MyDBH. And if you haven't checked out MyDBH, please do. So the next thing is, how do I choose a committee member? That's also on the MyDBH. Dr. Mackey and I worked together to update MyDBH related to the culminating project, related to all these points, the information, the paperwork, etc. And the link of how do I choose a committee member. There's a link on there that you can choose. You can review all the different individuals that could be chosen as far as a committee member. You can review their interest areas as far as research, consider who you'd like and the reasons why. And then what we do is we advise you to reach out to them, email them, let them know what you're thinking as far as a hypothesis or research question, and ask them to be on your committee. So far, no one's denied anyone, just so everyone knows. Okay. So don't be intimidated that someone's going to say no. One of the next questions I get a lot is, well, what do I do? How do I use my chair versus my CP instructors versus other people? How do I use everybody? How do I go through this process? Okay. You'll notice that this course has changed a little bit. There used to be live webinars in IBC 793, and we were there every week. And what I noticed, I've only done it once, but what I noticed is not many people showed. I'm sure everyone viewed all the webinars, right? Yeah. But what we noticed is what we found more helpful is that people would communicate with me later. They'd call me up or they'd email me, even sometimes during the webinar, and say, I really need help. I heard this, but I don't know what that means for me. Okay? This is my project. So what we decided to do is that we have designated time every week to reach out to you, to talk to you, to help to coach you through this. We have things that live webinars that are already recorded and posted on the website for you to watch at your leisure, okay, so that you can go back at 3 in the morning when you wake up with that wonderful, brilliant idea about your CP. You can watch it, brief it, and do your work. But we also want you to reach out to us, okay? So who's on the CP instructors are myself and then Dr. Pryor. For questions related to statistics, methodology, you want to reach out to Dr. Pryor. That's her knowledge area of expertise. I'll help you, but what you'll notice is if I do say anything, I'll also back it up by saying, and email Dr. Pryor. This is what I think. It's not my area of expertise, but email Dr. Pryor. Okay? For other parts of the CP, you want to communicate with myself. Okay? So if you're having questions on the discussion area, if you're having questions about your just hypotheses and whether or not it's something that could really work, and whether it's in clinical or management areas, you're welcome to reach out to me. We can have communications. We can set up weekly meetings, monthly meetings. I'm someone that can be utilized as far as just kind of a working coach. Okay? I also will refer you back to your chair if I'm not your chair. If there's very specific questions, okay, that are related to what a chair is going to give you more direction on. Okay? If you get really intricate regarding your discussion of, I'm wondering if I should go this way or that way, I might talk about the various benefits of them both, and then what I'll give you is a direction of, you know what? You got this chair. They're there for you. Give them, now that you are more informed about the values and benefits and risks maybe even of both directions, now go to your chair and ask that question. Okay? You can use me as a sounding board and then go to them if you'd like. I have students do that a lot. We find Dr. Cortez intimidating. Okay? I won't do that poll. But I do hear that a lot. People will call me. I don't know why I'm not intimidating. People will call me and want to meet with me or talk with me, and they'll say, you know, I just don't want to call so-and-so, that other chair, that advisor right now. But then after we talk about it, then they will. Okay? And so do that. Use that process. Okay, your chair is there. Your chair will also set up monthly appointments with you if you'd like. Maybe even weekly, depending on where you are in your process. They're there to do that as well. We all are here to help you through it. Now others, family members, friends, other students, it is important to get people together to help you to move forward. Okay? One of the unfortunate things is with normal, like, quote-unquote dissertations, okay, averages are between 6 and 10 years before completion, right? And sometimes those things go on a shelf and they're not even relevant to work. With a culminating project, it is relevant to you. It's applicable, it's real world, it's usable, and we want you to get through it in 3 to 4 semesters, right? Not 6 to 10 years, right? So we're here to move you through this process. So we don't want you to be sitting there and feeling like you're, oh, hold on, let me get there. Oh, procrastinating, okay, and not being able to move forward. We want to help you to do that. So we want you to get people, pull people in, let them know, let your work know, I'm working on this, so that you have some more accountability too to keep you moving forward. And these assignments in IBC 793 also help with that accountability. Okay? Those timelines, those discussions, it's important. My emails, those reminders, this is due. I'm sure everybody loves those. Okay? So use us. So here's a little thing about the committee. I really like this one. Our assistant professors really aren't that, but that's okay. I'll pretend like it was just yesterday I was in school. That's not true. Okay. But this is kind of true. Some of the biggest questions that come up for people are common concerns in the writing of a CP. The first one is procrastination. Okay. That's a common concern. It's hard. Anybody in here procrastinate? Should be everyone. Come on, come on. Anyone in here procrastinate on their CP? Okay. I know I procrastinated on my dissertation when I wrote it. It's a hard thing. It happens. Okay? It's important that you have people that are there to help you move forward. Okay? So reach out. If you're finding yourself that you haven't done anything, okay, reach out. Say to me, I haven't done anything. I've got some of my advisees that we have regular meetings, and sometimes they just call me and say, I didn't do anything. Okay, when are we talking next? What's your next step? It's important to have that. Okay, it's important. And so on that phone call, we can have a conversation about that. We can make that step something that seems accomplishable, something that I can do. Okay, common concerns on the CP, writing. Okay, writing. How many times can I say that? Okay, a lot of writing errors. Okay, flow concerns, formatting. And what I say to that is sometimes it's things like the comma out of place. Sometimes it's that people have difficulty just in writing the task itself. Okay? I give a lot of hints of read your paper out loud. Okay? If it doesn't make sense when you're reading out loud, then it doesn't make sense when I'm reading it. Okay? Read it to someone that doesn't know what you're talking about. Okay? Invite someone to sit down for coffee and say, I'm going to read you a story. You're going to be alive with joy. Right? And a big pot of coffee. And that's not decaffeinated, folks, because you want that person awake. Okay? And read it to them. Okay? And then check in. What did you learn? Just check in after every 2 paragraphs. Tell me what you heard. Okay? If they're like, well, I kind of heard you say something about something, and then there was a word, okay, or that didn't make sense, I have no idea, okay, then you're going to want to really look at your writing. If you're having difficulty, there are efforts that we have that you can get help. Not only from your chair is one, from myself is another, but also we have the ASU Writing Center, Student Support Services, and we have the IBC 590 class. We have these supportive services there, so you don't have those errors, that you can improve your writing and feel more confident about it. More often than not, when people talk to me about the procrastination that's occurring, they tell me about the fact that it's the writing. Okay? It doesn't always correlate, but oftentimes. So it's important. And sometimes people just need to send a paragraph and say, can you just read this one paragraph? Am I on track? And it's important to get that feedback of, that's awesome, I love it. I love that. I love your writing. I love the message, okay, what you're doing. We need to hear that. That's what we're here for. Okay? We're not always here to slap you on the wrist or send you something back with all these red marks. Okay? We're here to also support you. Also know that when we do send you back feedback, we use a lot of different programs on Word where we can input information. Okay? And when we do that, you can go in and just accept changes and track changes, given that FYI for people. Okay? So if you have anything, I know we have some students who have experience with that. I won't name names. Okay? But when you receive these great edits back, and someone has very nicely edited and put commas in place or quotes or written things differently, and they've got all the info on the right, you can actually hit just accept changes, and it will automatically go into your document, so you don't have to go and retype it all. Okay? But please watch when you do that, because I also can't tell you how many times I'm reading a document, and then it says, diabetes, change this to not say diabetes and say this. blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what? And I'll be like, or I'll be reading something and I might have written in there, change this sentence, and literally it will say, change this sentence here, or add paragraph, start new paragraph, I've even seen one thing that I always write in people's report is there are things like, one sentence is not a paragraph, okay? I know that sometimes you want it to make it a paragraph. It's not. Neither is two sentences, okay? And so I'll write in there, 2 sentences, not a paragraph. And then later, like the third version I'm reading, and then I'm reading 2 sentences is not a paragraph. Wait, what? Don't accept that change. No, make the change. Okay? So watch that. And that's why it also shows me that when I catch those things, you haven't read that out loud, right? That's what it shows me. Okay? You haven't read that out loud, because I also know that the concern is when you read a document 5 times, you can't see it anymore, right? You can't. These words just disappear. You don't see that. You see what your brain is saying that you wrote. You see your own verbiage in your head. You don't see what's really on the paper anymore. That should be a study in itself, okay? We do not see it. And that's why it's important you read it out loud so someone else can hear it. You have someone else read it so that they can catch those errors, okay? So reach out to your APA publication manual or OWL Purdue. Great resources for APA 6th edition. That's very important too. At this stage, when you're writing your culminating project, we want you to be efficient with utilizing APA to structure your report. Okay? Those resources are very easy to use. Okay? It will tell you step by step what to do, give you an example. You can just copy and paste. It's very easy. Okay? CP online tutorials for plagiarism. That's really about the concerns that people have with citing. Okay? I see a lot of errors related to citation. I haven't had one student at all that they did that on purpose. Okay? It's normally just errors in citation. So really want you to focus in on that. When you're writing, make sure to look at, okay, did I cite that? Do I have a reference? Do I need to add quotes? Okay? A few weeks back, I actually found my dissertation. I was looking through an old box, and I was like, oh, let's look at this thing. Obviously, it was very applicable. No, I'm just kidding. It was actually used for other things, but still. So I brought it out of the box, and I was flipping through it, and I was like, oh, hey, my writing's not bad. You kind of want to look back. Oh, that's pretty good. But what I noticed, for instance, is that with every sentence, there's like 6 references at the end. It was kind of annoying. The paragraphs are pretty long, right? But really, that's what we're looking at. When I look at the paper, there should be references. Maybe not necessarily 6 references, but there should be lots of references throughout your paper. Okay? We also want to encourage you to look at sample papers so you don't feel like you're stranded not knowing what's the expectation. And they are posted for you. Hold on. Is this on? Oh, yeah, it is. American Idol.
You definitely don't want me to sing. So the professional writing skills course, does that include how to use the ASU tools such as RefWorks, how to use the advanced features of PubMed? RefWorks, for example, has a great place for you to start. Every class you take, you find public articles, and then you can put it in this little folder over here. So by the time, does it include that kind of stuff, or is it just APA? Anyway.
Great question, and I see Dr. Cortez coming over. And we can talk about RefWorks as well.
I don't think so, unless CR was going to correct me otherwise. I don't think that that's part of the writing class. The writing class is originally designed because we do want to be an inclusive program, as Dr. O'Donnell mentioned before, and we recognize that there's a lot of diversity in terms of the quality of early childhood education experiences that some students have had, depending on what their resources were, and so different people are coming in at different writing levels. So the intention of the course was really to help people improve the quality of their writing rather than expose them to some of those really awesome and cool tools. So I would recommend that everybody become familiar with the ASU library homepage, because there's lots of tutorials about things like RefWorks and PubMed and those kinds of things there. So ASU libraries, you can get there from asu.edu if you just go to the libraries, and that's a really great resource. But the writing class is more intended to help people develop their their writing skills as well as APA understanding and those kinds of things.
Well, you bring up great points because it's really important that you reach out and you let us know questions like that of,
Oh, I have double mic on, don't I? Double mic. You reach out to let us know because oftentimes I'll have people tell me things like, well, I don't know how to do the reference or I always mess up. RefWorks is a great resource for you. You can go to the ASU library, you can open up a RefWorks account, and then every article that you look at through ASU library, every journal article, you can click this button that says RefWorks. It automatically gets stored into your account, and then you can click a button called Bibliography. Beep. And then writes it in APA for you. And then you cut and paste. How nice is technology sometimes, right? Who in here remembers doing papers on like typewriters and other things? Okay? So do I. Okay? The little tape, having to go back. Okay. So nowadays we've got everything. We've got everything at the tip of our fingers. So if you find yourself having anything that you're feeling stuck on or having more problems with, just reach out and ask a question. Is there an easier way to do this? Okay? Is there a great techno-savvy way to do this? And really, RefWorks is very easy to do. It's like 3 clicks.
I just want to say one thing.
Uh-oh.
RefWorks, as both have said, it's a very useful tool. Here's the comment I wanted to make. It's a mistake that a colleague of mine made. He and I were going through our doctorate together. He didn't keep good records and organize his articles as he was going along. By the time he was ready to write his lit review, he had to go back and find them all over again. So the best suggestion I can make is be organized from the start. Be organized from the start. Because the best thing is for you to have good organization, easy access to all of your information. When you're ready to write, it's at your fingertips. You put it all together. It just creates unnecessary work and stress and everything else. So, RefWorks is good.
The other piece is if you do choose to use RefWorks, it does not automatically give you APA 6th edition. So you do have to switch that on. It goes to 5th. Okay. So it's kind of a little thing that you've got to also switch on. But it actually gives you the choice and asks you to choose which one you want. So I've just got some quick points for you to remember. You're welcome to just read through that. A couple other things I just want to point out because I was asked to ensure that I give it some talk time is your IPOS, the beautiful IPOS. Okay? We want you to fill out an IPOS as soon as possible. It's a working document as well. Okay? It's something that as you go through the courses, you're probably going to update and you may even change. But we do want you to do that. And then we also want you to update your IPOS with your committee members. Once you know who's on your committee, we want you to update it. If you do not know how to do an IPOS, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, if you think it's the international paragraph something, it's not, okay. right, of stress, yes, that's right. Could be another way we could say it, right? And there are a lot of actually tricks and trades of IPOS, of plugging in the data and answering questions. If you have questions about your IPOS, please reach out to your advisor. You can also ask me as well. And then Rachel Joels, who's not in here right now, she does a lot of assistance and will answer some questions. But please go through us first so that we can help you. Okay? So just kind of putting that shout out there for the IPOS. Any questions that people have about the CP process?
Will your PowerPoint be available as well?
Yes, my PowerPoint will be available. Okay. Was this helpful to just do a brief review of this? Okay. Okay, just making sure you're awake. I have to tell you, everybody, that, you used to be surprised in my clinics, okay? I've got 8 clinics up and down the coast. When I go into the provider rooms, okay, this is what I do all day. Is like I'll bring in like music or other things. You got to keep people moving. Are you kidding me? One of my site administrators did it even better, and then I adapted her idea, is that she made the triple aim into unicorns. And so I rock the unicorn triple aim as well. I was like, that is brilliant. And so in one of our staff rooms, literally upstairs, we have productivity reports and everything else. We have unicorns plastered like 3 feet by 5 feet long. Yeah, everyone wants to get a unicorn hat and win the prize. It's pretty fun. So I appreciate you all surviving our CP instruction and talk today, and hope that as you go through the course, you're also going to survive this process. Please reach out as much as you can and let us know. If you have any questions or concerns, we're here to answer.